Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of Carroll County and all Carroll Countyans, and welcome to the 152nd observance of Memorial Day with its parade and program at Westminster Municipal Cemetery. That's right, you heard me say 152 years this observance has taken place in Carroll County and in Westminster. We take the credit for the longest continuous observance of this event in the United States. It was started in 1868 when General Logan, who was the commander of the Grand Army of the Republic, the large veterans organization from veterans from the Civil War, asked school children to cut flowers from their gardens and go to their local cemeteries and place those flowers on the graves of Union soldiers who had paid the ultimate sacrifice. In Westminster, Miss Mary Shellman, who was a 16-year-old daughter of the mayor of Westminster, organized children from St. John's Catholic Church Elementary School and from Westminster Elementary School, the Carroll County Public Schools. They cut flowers and they met at the center of Center Street and Main Street and proceeded to the Westminster Cemetery where they placed those flowers on the graves of Union soldiers. And from that time on, it was known as the Decoration Day, and it continued to be observed as Decoration Day until later after the First World War, when they started honoring all veterans, and it became then Memorial Day. Miss Selman continued to organize the event until late in the 1920s, when the American Legion Post number 31 took over the activities of organizing the parade and has done so ever since. Now, organizing a parade and activities at the cemetery is not just an easy event. It takes the cooperation of a lot of people. For example, the Westminster City Police, the Fire Department Police, the State Police, and other organizations, because as you know, many roads feed into Westminster. 27, 97, 32. All of these roads must be managed during the time of the parade. Also, for the last few years, the Westminster Post number 31 is very grateful to the Community Media Center here in Carroll County for televising the parade. The Community Media Center right now is running a Veterans Oral History Collection Day. They're trying to collect the memories of all of the veterans who served in any of the wars, and they would like to record that on video and preserve it for historical reasons for Carroll County. Now, all Community Media Center is located at 1301 Washington Road, Westminster, and the interviews will be scheduled by appointment between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. To sign up, all veterans call 410-386-4415, or you can visit carrollmediacenter.org. All of the interviews will become part of the Carroll County Historical Project's permanent online video activity and will be broadcast on channels 19 and HD. So if you are a veteran, we would like to hear your story, and it should be recorded, not only for now, but just think your children, your grandchildren in the future will be able to look at it and say, what did Daddy do? What did Granddaddy do during the war? Great remembrance. And today I am joined in commentating on the parade by Mr. Rick Stem, also from American Legion Post number 31, and he and I will be sharing the broadcast. As you can see on your monitor, a lot of people here today. Beautiful day, Rick, right?
Yes, it is, Skip. I'd like to say welcome to everyone to the 152nd Westminster Memorial Day Parade that we've had for years now. It's a pleasure to join Skip I am the Richard Stem Jr., the First Vice Commander of American Legion Post 31. And we already heard that the Legion Riders are starting to come up the street. So anyway, they'll be passing out some flags, and we'll go from there. So, okay, Skip.
When the Legion Riders get here, you won't be able to hear us because they make a roar. But as Rick said, they stop along the way and pass out little American flags to all the children. And the children are very anxious and excited to get a free flag, which is wonderful. And as we mentioned, this is a beautiful, beautiful morning. One of the nicest days we've had in a few years. And where we're located in front of the Westminster Library, the crowds are packed shoulder to shoulder, 2 and 3 deep. So I imagine we're going to have one of the best turnouts. Don't you think so, Rick?
Yes, sir. And here comes the Legion Riders up here on their bikes now, passing out those flags, Skip. Here they come. So let's watch them for a couple seconds.
Rick, who's the leader of the Legion Riders this year?
The leader of the Riders is just passing us, Larry Soloskit. So he just went by on that first 2 motorcycles there. So here comes his crew behind him.
They do good work. They're auxiliary of the American Legion, and they have a fundraising activity for many years. They have supported hospice, Carroll County Hospice, and have raised a great deal of money for hospice, which is a wonderful, wonderful event. So if you ever have a chance to take part in one of their crab feast or oyster roast, please do so. You'll be supporting Carroll Hospice. There you have a young lady, I think that is, passing out flags, riding on the back of that motorcycle. Could possibly be her granddaddy or her daddy. Members of the riders are very assorted. You have all kinds of people who have motorcycles and love to ride and love to take rides to make money for charity.
Also, Skip, you can see the numerous kinds of motorcycles they have out there. The 2-wheelers, the 3-wheelers, they call them trikes. So there are different styles that they all ride, and they passing out the flowers like Skip said and the flags. So
the most common thing they have is they're noisy.
yeah, right there.
But it's wonderful. Wonderful to see and wonderful to hear.
Also, while we got a couple minutes, we will be standing and saluting the first flag that comes through in the parade. And after that, we will be sitting down, so it's no dishonor. We always salute the first flag coming in the parade, and then we, the rest of them, will just sit down the ones and just let you know.
Try to give you some decent commentary. The motorcycles are about 10 minutes ahead of the parade, because if they were right in front of the parade, they would drown out the Westminster Municipal Band, which always leads off the band, and we wouldn't hear the wonderful music that they provide.
You have to get some more flags out there, Skip. They ran out of some.
He ran out, so he went into his storage of extras. He's still got a long way to go.
Yes,
remember, they're coming uphill past the library, and they have to go all the way up to Church Street to turn into the Westminster Cemetery. While we have a moment here, I'd also like to thank again from American Legion Post number 31, the Carroll Media Center Group. The executive director is Richard Turner. The production manager today is Aaron Chansan. The director is George Pastor. On the camera we have Nick Teenzo, and volunteers George Scher, Mike Armacost, Allison Lloyd, and Bob Lloyd. Thank them for their service in providing this television for the parade.
Call Todd.
Post 31 greatly appreciates it.
Okay, Skip, I think they're getting ready to start out again.
And there they go.
There goes our adjutant, Jim Beckman.
I think they have all passed now, so there'll be a slight break before the parade actually arrives. As I said, that is due to trying to have clear sound when the Westminster Municipal Band comes, which always leads off the parade. The Westminster Municipal Band has been in the parade since their organization in about 1910 or 1911. As most Carroll Countyans know, it is one of the finest marching bands in the United States. They conduct many events, but their kickoff to their season is the Memorial Day Parade. Rick, can you read what it says on that book?
Yeah, it says, "Rest in peace, JJ."
What does it say again?
Rest in peace, JJ, but I can't read the bottom.
Okay. Continuing on with the band, as I said, this is the beginning of their season. Meet Ridget.
Reggie.
Okay, hi Ridget. And they perform in many events, including, I think, the Firemen's Convention in Ocean City.
That's
they
correct.
also lead off that parade, don't they, Rick?
Yes, that's correct, Skip. Many parades there, and a great organization.
One of the other nice things they do, if you've never attended the Sunday in the Park, on Sunday nights in August, I believe, they have a concert in the park. Just bring a folding chair or a blanket and sit at the park and listen to a wonderful concert, which lasts usually about an hour or an hour and a half, and gorgeous music. They're a fine organization. If you're interested in band music, if you played in high school or college and would like to continue, their headquarters are on John Street in Westminster. Contact them and they will let you join. They're always looking for volunteers. They're still passing out some flags here from that trike.
Well, the breeze is picking up a little bit here, Skip.
Yeah, might be all right. People in the sun today, I believe, are going to get a little tan.
I would think so.
By the way, if you've seen Rick and I on television here, he's wearing a white hat and I'm wearing a black hat. I'm just a member of the American Legion, but Rick is an executive officer and on his way probably to be commander. He's a great member for the American Legion and we're really happy to have him.
Thank you, Skip. Appreciate that very much. We're still passing out some flowers and flags down here still, so.
It looked like they were hugging a World War II veteran.
That could
I'm
be
not sure
possible.
who it is, but thank them for doing that.
Yep, we can see him walking over to the sidewalk again.
By the way, I mentioned the library. In the library right now, there's a magnificent exhibit about D-Day, which of course is the 75th year for D-Day, June the 6th. And the exhibit was put together by the Eckert brothers, well known here in Carroll County, especially Westminster. So if you get a chance, drop by the main branch here located on Main Street and see the D-Day exhibit that they put together for the Second World War. Wonderful exhibit.
Yes, it is. It's a nice exhibit. Like Skip said, you need to get in there and look around and see the exhibit. A lot of work was put into it. So just stop by the library at any time and you can go in there.
Last year, I believe they had a wonderful exhibit simply with military uniforms from various services and various periods of time. But this year, they've concentrated on D-Day, which is very apropos since June the 6th will be the 75th anniversary observance of D-Day. I believe D-Day is still the largest amphibious invasion ever conducted in the world at any time. May not be totally correct on that, but I'm pretty sure I am. Over 6,000 vessels and 350,000 men was a tremendous accomplishment.
Yes, it was, Skip. And may the runs rest in peace that aren't with us today.
And a lot of them were Marylanders because the 1st Division ashore at Omaha was the 29th Division called the Blue and Gray, and that was the Maryland, Virginia Division. And they suffered a great number of casualties. If you saw the movie Saving Private Ryan, the opening of that is the 29th Division invading Omaha Beach. And you see how bloody and terrible it was. And then later in the film, when Tom Hanks is asked to go find Private Ryan, all of his squad are wearing 29th Division patches, the blue and gray patch. And the 29th Division has been active in a lot of wars. I think it was formed during the Civil War, and it has a proud, long tradition of service to the United States.
Also, while we're talking, Skip, we have a lot of veterans out there that probably do not belong to the American Legion. Westminster Post 31 American Legion is run by Andrea Gamboa. So if you want to come over and see us, we'd be glad to have you join as a member, and we can talk to you then and tell you what's going on.
Those who don't know, the American Legion is the largest philanthropic organization in the United States. All the posts across America have their charities and they donate to them, support local activities which are worthwhile. Here in Westminster we have scholarships. We have the Boys and Girls State Senate, which comes here to Carroll County and works his house at McDaniel College every year. We also have an oratorical contest for praising America and the Constitution. So we have charity events that you can work with. The Ladies Auxiliary conducts a lot of events, and the money from those auxiliary events go to support the veterans in veterans hospitals, clinics, and nursing homes, and so forth. So there's a lot of wonderful activity that's done through the American Legion here in Carroll County, as well as around the nation. And there are American Legion posts not only in Westminster, but you have Mount Airy, Hampstead. Where else do we have?
Taneytown. One in Reisterstown, one in Sykesville. So they're all over the place.
Yeah, so it's easy to join. It's not an expensive proposition, and you can do a lot of good things to help a lot of people here in Carroll County and nationwide.
Yeah, that's correct, Skip. And there's a meeting every month, And we have numerous other events like Skip said. So get on our website, carolpost31.org, and you can look around and see what we're doing. We'd love to have you.
Well, I think we just had a glimpse there of a gentleman, and there he is, and that's a hat from the Marine Corps. So he's obviously a veteran of the United States Marines.
Honor to him. And all our veterans, Skip.
Absolutely. Anyone who has served needs to be thanked for keeping our freedoms and our Constitution alive and our way of life alive.
And while we're waiting a couple seconds, Skip, why don't you tell them about the flags we put on the cemeteries during this Memorial Day weekend?
Yes. One of the events that goes on this weekend, American Legion Post puts an American flag on the grave of every veteran who has ever served in every cemetery in Carroll County. There's a gentleman who's the Grand Marshal today of the parade named Mr. Jim Smith. He's been chairman of that committee for many, many years. And I think at the last count it was close to 6,000 flags that they put out to mark the graves of those who have paid service. The biggest cemetery I think they deal with is the Evergreen Cemetery down in Finksburg. They have something like 1,800 veterans buried in that cemetery, so they need help putting out the flags. They start on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Saturday is Evergreen Cemetery, and we're thankful to the children at Gazelle Academy who helped put those flags on the graves. And here we come.
Here we come with the first group, and like I say, this is the honor guard from the American Legion, which we'll introduce in a minute. And there's a police car going by us now, Skip.
Yeah.
And I will stand for the American flag, the first one, like I said, that goes by, in honor of the United States flag. And also, after that, we will not be standing. So.
Rich, do you have the names of our flag bearers there, or our honor guard?
Yes, on the honor guard this morning from Post 31 is Brandon Balsley, Vince Dell, Rick Richards, and Matt Shatner.
Riding in the car following the honor guard is the man that I was talking about, Jim Smith, who was chairman of the flag committee for many, many years. He's serving as the Grand Marshal this year of the parade.
Also driving him is Tom Long. He's in charge of our scholarship committee for the American Legion from Westminster. So he takes care of the scholarships and gets all the awards presented to the children that get those scholarships. And here comes our Westminster Municipal Band.
And by tradition, leading the Westminster Band is a child with a wreath, which symbolizing the placing of flowers on the grave. That wreath will be placed on the mound at the Westminster Cemetery prior to the services out there.
And that's a tradition that goes on every year, as Skip said. So we honor that.
Yes, and we apologize for not knowing the name of the child. We usually try to get it, but this year somehow we didn't get the name of the child. But thank him very much for doing it.
And Skip, I also like to say that Paul Emmert Sr. is the one that organizes and gets the parade stuff all together. Every year, he's been doing it, I don't know how many years, maybe you know, Skip.
Yes, he has, and he does a wonderful job, really committed to the occasion. We're hearing the band come. When the band gets here and the music overwhelms us, we will stop talking and let you listen to the Westminster Municipal Band, one of the best in the nation. We're very proud of them, and we're very thankful that they lead off the parade for us.
And it says they have like 50 members, Skip. It might be a little bit more than that also. So
right.
We'll see them, and like Skip says, we'll be quiet then, and you can hear them play.
say quickly, I think the leader of the municipal band color guard is Mr. Raymond Banker.
I'm going to stand for this one too. There's our county commissioner, the leader of the band, Mr. Steve Wentz. Skip, do you have any idea what the year is of the band truck here?
Next year we're going to try to find out how many years some of those band members have been marching in this parade, and it goes on and on.
57, 1957.
47.
Hey, Skip, the band is a 1947.
Hey, guys.
Okay, there's our commander of Post 31, Adrian Gamboa, his wife, Rebecca, and our district commander, Mr. Alex Whitney, with his son, AJ. And I'm not sure who's on the side of Rebecca there. I think it's their daughter. Okay, that's their daughter.
Here's the truck with the Sons of the American Legion, all descendants of, in their family heritage, who served in the Revolutionary War, and they're still part of serving America. Very proud of them and their heritage.
And their commander is Greg Walker.
We have Carol Purse, number 31's Miss Poppy. We'll talk about the Poppy, which you may have seen on my lapel a little bit later. The next vehicle is a mule. Those who served in Vietnam know that name because it was an all-purpose fuel for all kinds of activities, followed by a Jeep with a 50 caliber machine gun, and the Carroll County Young Marines, a wonderful organization that helps educate, discipline, scholarship for young people. This is American Legion Post World War II veterans riding in a beautiful, that's a Cadillac, I believe, a magnificent car. And now we have a Deuce 20 and 8 with proud Vietnam veterans, including Mr. Ray Hollingsworth, who used to work with us a good bit, Veterans of Foreign Wars, post number 467. VFW Ladies Auxiliary of Westminster. Post number 467, Westminster VFW Military Post. The ladies following, as I said, they all work for activities to raise funds to aid the veterans and those in VA hospitals, clinics, and so forth.
Hey, look at this nice looking truck coming up here, Skip, all decorated in pink with the American flag on it.
Yeah, I also like that Jeep that that convertible that preceded them. That's beautiful too.
Yes, it is.
That truck is beautifully decorated. One of our local construction companies does this every year. They do it for the pride of the community, and they cover their name on the truck, so they're not doing it for publicity, they're doing it for community activities.
That is one nice looking truck. I'd hate to take that into the quarry.
Small break in the parade right now. Remember, when they hit the railroad tracks and start up Main Street, they're all going uphill. And so it becomes much harder for the walkers as they start from here to Cemetery Avenue in Westminster.
I was a member of 29th.
Here comes a group of Jeeps and military vehicles.
North and south from Civil War days. And I didn't know if you knew that, but I wanted to let you guys know on that. So I come through. Frank Rothenberg's here.
Beautiful vehicles restored and promoted. Humvees, some with military weapons.
Okay. What is your name again?
Vic Bruner.
Vic Brennan. Okay, a lot of vehicles coming here, Skip. They're passing out some
Yeah,
goodies, I think.
I think they're giving out candy, which is not really what we want them to do, but that's okay. Flags are fine.
A lot of Humvees coming up here.
Yes, there are. A lot of pride in those vehicles.
Yes, it is.
Some will look like they are original military vehicles, and then some look like they're just personally owned private vehicles. This is the Department of Disabled Veterans, that van, DAV, Department of Disabled Veterans. We have a really, really good group here in Carroll County that serves veterans. Mr. Todd Mitchell runs that group, and they're a great group of people, and they do a lot of good for our veterans.
That looks like the auxiliary.
Yeah, Women's Auxiliary of post number 31.
I think we're still in the disabled veterans here. I think. I'm not sure.
And now we're getting into our Boy Scout troops. They've always walked in the parade, and a beautiful group of young men. Of course, women can be in Boy Scouts now also. Boy Scouts is a great organization to support and train young people in the proper discipline.
And we're not sure what troop that is. We don't have that in
Here
our
comes
paper.
the mayor and city council of Westminster. Leading in the car is Mr. Justin Reedy, senator. And there's Greg Pecoraro and Mr. Kevin Dayhoff and Mr. Ben Yingling, all of the city council of Westminster, Mr. Joe Dominic, the mayor.
And like you said, here comes Justin Reddy, our state senator.
Neil Parrott, who is a member of the House of Delegates from Carroll County. Here in the background, another one of our bands coming. Mr. Dennis Fraser, County Commissioner. Carroll County Veterans Advisory Council. I mentioned Mr. Todd before, who leads that group and Todd Mitchell does a wonderful job. April Rose, who's one of the delegates from Carroll County, riding in that silver convertible.
And driving her is Haven Shoemaker,
Haven is a
our state delegate also.
Yeah. And Mr. Dennis Fraser is walking.
Next, we have the Veterans Advisory Committee for Carroll County.
Here comes another beautiful military vehicle. This is the, what veterans group is that, Rick?
I can't really make it out. Looks like Army and Navy veterans there.
Okay, Army and Navy veterans groups.
And they're honoring all who served also. In that Jeep is Mr. Frank Rauschenberg. He is the commander of Post 48, the 29th Division here in Carroll County. We meet at the American Legion Post 31. And I also had a Mr. Vic Brewer just came up and talked to me and said he was a member that
Here
also
comes the
I am.
Westminster band carrying their wreath in front with their flag bearers, making a wonderful appearance.
Let's listen to some of their music, Skip.
Yeah, wonderful.
Okay, behind them we have the 29th Military Police Company.
Here comes the National Guard, 29th Division from Carroll County in their Humvees and their personnel transport vehicles.
And if you can see, Skip, some of them have men coming out of the top perch holes so they can see what's going on.
Right. Now we have the Carroll Composite Squadron of the Civil Air Patrol for Carroll County, another wonderful organization for young people. And by the way, the Civil Air Patrol of Carroll County was formed 2 weeks after December the 7th, 1941. So they started right at the beginning of the Second World War and have been in an organization ever since. A great group of people who support them and train them. If you have a young person and you want to put them in a nice organization, that's one.
Lieutenant Derek Dunn is their commander.
Civil Air Patrol. They do lots of good things in the community. And now we have the Winters Mill ROTC group, another fine organization for young people. Winters Mill High School here in Westminster. Sons of the American Legion. It's the Catholic War Veterans of the United States, Westminster chapter.
skip the Westminster chapter, the Son of American Revolution, is run by James F. Engler Sr. He's the charter president of that.
Wonderful.
And the ROTC, the junior ROT, is led by Colonel Raymond Narwhirl.
Here are another wonderful military vehicles that have been preserved. I think that's the kind of vehicle they use to pull other disabled vehicles off the battlefield, even as much as pulling tanks out and bringing them back for restoration. What a huge vehicle that is. Here comes the big pipe Civil War reenactors, a wonderful group of people. They, of course, put on lots of exhibits during the year at the Carroll County Farm Museum and the City Hall, County Office Building.
My understanding is Mr. Ned Landis is the leader of that.
Good. And here are some people from Pickett's Charge, Civil War encampment. It's the last weekend in June here in Westminster. If you don't know the history of Corporate's Charge, you ought to learn about it because it was very influential in the Battle of Gettysburg. It's another ROTC unit. Even if your young person is not interested in becoming a military veteran or service person, they ought to be in this organization to learn discipline, activities, citizenship. Some more Civil War reenactors. This is a World War II Jeep, actual World War II Jeep, which has been maintained. And we have a Korean veteran in that Jeep. I'm glad to see that because yours truly is a Korean veteran. That's Mr. Ray Brown, who was a Korean veteran. Those Jeeps are original and they're beautifully restored. Carroll Christian Academy Band. Resplendent in their red, white, and blue.
They have 40 members marching in their band, approximately 150 members walking and riding floats. That's a big turnout there, Skip.
Just given a wonderful concert by the band which stopped almost in front of us, and that was very, very nice. Patriotic Pep Band, Carroll Christian Academy, followed by about 150, I think, of walking students, most of them in red, white, and blue. A wonderful turnout from that school. Thank you very much. Oh, look at that float, USA We Stand. That's beautiful. That's a beautiful float.
Yes, it is. Very nice. Very nicely decorated.
Congratulations to those who worked on that float. They did a wonderful job. Here comes the Cub Scouts of America, pack number 791.
They're out of Hampstead, Skip.
Okay. Truck is well decorated. The float is very nice looking. Pack number 791, Hampstead.
If you got a young boy, you might want to join the Scouts. You might want to look around the Carroll County area. They have numerous troops around, so they could probably help you out, get your young man in there.
Pack number 733. Remember, by this time, most of the parade has gotten to Cemetery Avenue, and they're following in there. That will slow us down a little bit. This group is from Winfield, 733. Very patriotic looking. Cub pack number 631 from Westminster. From the Westminster United Methodist Church, pack number 731. Pack number 381. Rick, do we know where they're from? 381?
I'm looking right now, Skip. Just bear with me a second here.
Carrying a very large American flag.
I'm not quite sure.
Anyway, they're a good-looking group, and we thank them for being in the parade. Cub pack number 420 from Westminster.
That's from St. John's Catholic Church.
Good,
I
good.
think the other group was from Sykesville there.
Okay. And then followed by, what is that?
That's Gamber.
Gamber, okay.
Skip, that's a lot of Scouts out there.
That's a lot of Scouts, and that's wonderful. Good for Carroll County.
Let's give those instructors there, the Scout leaders, a lot of credit because it's a lot of time they put in for this.
This is 395 from Sandy Mount.
And I'm not sure if this little dog's a Scout or not, but he's wandering around with them. He's a Scout, they told me now. This is Troop 393 from Grace Lutheran Church here in Westminster.
And what do we have next?
Troop 393.
Also from Westminster.
Yep, from the Grace Lutheran Church.
If you look at the history of these troops and so forth, the organizations have been supporting them for many years. Some go back 50, 60 years. They've been supporting the Boy Scout and Girl Scout movements.
It looks like we got Scout Troop 417 from the girls, Sykesville, Colleen Kelly is the leader. They got 12 marching folks there doing their thing. And we also have Troop 56 here with us today, Skip.
Good. Good. Oh, I believe are these those sailorette groups coming with the music?
Yes, it is. The ones from Arbutus.
They're supposed to be one of the oldest majorette groups in Maryland. And they start very young, as you can see. Parade for a number of years, and we thank them very much. St. John's School children, they join right here at this part of the parade because this is where they started in 1868, and they went from here to the cemetery. So they're keeping up their tradition of starting at the same location and being part of the parade for 152 years.
And it says they have 50 members here walking today, Skip.
Good. And they're followed by the Fraternal Order Knights of Columbus. And of course, that's the Catholic organization, fraternal organization that raises money. And what they raise money for is right behind them. It's the van for the Ark. Their big charity contribution to the community is the van for the Ark. Good to see them. That's a wonderful project for the Knights of Columbus group to keep that van available for those who need the services of the Ark, which also is another wonderful organization in Carroll County. We have so many of those which are run and supported by volunteers and charity contributions from various organizations. We're so fortunate here in Carroll County to have these types of organizations available to our citizens. We have a small gap in the parade right now. I'm not sure why. It may be because the Corvette Club cars are coming or something along that line. Which when they get here, you'll see some beautiful, beautiful cars.
Yeah, I'm trying to find out who is coming, Skip, but I can't see that far down there, so we'll have to wait a couple
Calvary
seconds.
Baptist Church is the next organization. They always have a beautiful float with music on it, and I think I can hear the music now. Here they come, singing.
We have a live singer here, Skip, so maybe we want to pause a minute and listen to her sing.
Yes.
Very nice, very nice.
Those young ladies performing on that float with songs are beautiful.
That's also a nice looking float there, Skip. A lot of time was put in that.
Yes, it was.
It says they have like 20 members here with them today, so. Look at this float coming up behind us here, Skip. It looks pretty
beautiful.
nice.
That's beautiful. That's part of Calvary, isn't it?
Yes, it is part of Calvary Baptist Bible Church.
Look at that float. Look at the work that went into that. Beautiful. Paying homage to the fallen.
Very nice, very nice.
I don't know who built that statue, but they deserve a lot of credit. In God we trust.
The Calvary Bible Church there.
Now I think we may be starting with some service clubs in the cars here.
Church of the Ascension.
Okay. Oh, well, we have a pony. We have a pony rider. We hadn't often had a pony rider.
I got two of them there, Skip.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And they're all decked out in their red, white, and blue. Don't they look nice?
I think the guy walking behind them has an important job. Not one that I would want, though.
Got to keep the streets clean. Yep, that's very important.
You're doing a good job there, my man.
Here's the Winfield Bible Church being pulled by a John Deere tractor. Clearfield Bible Church.
Buried here and around the world, Skip, 124,905 are heroes buried on foreign soil in 24 U.S. burial grounds abroad. England, France, Philippines, Belgium, Italy.
And
nice float.
Yeah, they have a depiction of a cemetery behind the float, which is nice. We have now another car well decorated appearing. I'm not sure which this car is. We'll find out just shortly. Beautifully put together. Beautiful antique car following.
That's from Creation Springs Church. They have
Wonderful.
12 members with them.
That's a beautiful, beautiful antique car behind them. Well restored with those white sidewalls and beautiful chrome front.
Nice looking car there.
Beautiful. And then followed by a van from the Lions Club. The Lions Club, of course, supports many charitable activities, primarily services for people with vision difficulties. They're one of the largest service clubs in the world, along with Rotary, Kiwanis, I think all of whom we'll see here shortly in the parade. Next we have a pickup truck with a lion on top of it, a beautiful, beautiful gold lion. I think that is the Westminster Lions Club, followed by a float with children on it. Nice looking lion, isn't that beautiful? And the Deer Park Lions Club. in the red convertible. And Deer Park Lions Club in this old-time convertible.
Hey, Skip, that looks like your first car.
Yeah, right. I'm not that old. I'm old, but I'm not that old. I wish I had the car, though.
1918 Cadillac.
Wow, wow. And then there's another convertible with Deer Park Lions. And Westminster Lions banner. Westminster Lions pickup truck with children on a float behind it. Quite a contingent from the Lions clubs of Carroll County this year. Very, very nice. Taylor's Vinfield Lions Club. Do we know who that veteran is on that float?
I'm looking, Skip. Hang on.
Behind them, by the way, is a old steam engine. This is the 40 and 8 group from the American Legion. 40 and 8 comes from when our troops landed in France. They put them on boxcars, which were marked 40 and 8. 40 men and 8 men, 8 horses. This is the local chapter of the 40 and 8 group, 155.
I think Adrian Gamboa is driving that, and his family's in the back there.
Group of veterans riding in the Elks Club float.
Yep.
This is part of the Elks Club, and it looks like they're all World War II veterans, at least Korean or World War II. That's being followed by that antique Ford car. That's the Historical Society of Carroll County. The Rotary Club of Westminster with Mr. Bill Gavin and Mr. Burnett, the incoming president, riding in a beautiful. The Historical Society has Mrs. Davis in it and Mr. Barrett. And
Riding for recovery, he says there, Skip.
they make a little bit of noise, but they're okay. Following the motorcycle riders, we have the van or bus from Brightview, Westminster Ridge Retirement Community. A wonderful place for those over 55 to reside. I gotta throw in a little plug because I live there myself. That's where I live now. The van has been beautifully decorated. We give a shout out to all of those riding in the van.
Brightview Senior Living.
Yeah, it's a nice place to live. A lot of wonderful activities, a lot of wonderful people, and good food.
Good food, that's good. We got to keep our senior citizens well fed.
That's right. This looks like the Kiwanis Club coming. Salute to veterans from the Kiwanis Club. Mr. Ray Riley from our local Westminster Kiwanis Club became the national commander of the Kiwanis. That's quite a distinction.
York Wright Mason there.
Oh, there is Mr. Bernie Jones in that vehicle for the Kiwanis Club. Well-known person here in Carroll County. Congratulations to him. This is the Westminster group of I believe this is part of,
It's a door of the Virtual Mason Lodge Knights Templar, Carroll County,
right.
number 17. They have 15 marchers with them.
That's,
Just imagine what their heads are feeling like now, those big bonnets on.
Yeah, they are part of the Masonic Order in the United States. This is also still part of the Masonic Order Georgia Virtue Lodge, number 117. The gentlemen wearing the aprons are Masons. We now have a very nice looking float coming. Says our Masonic family, probably veterans who no longer can walk in the parade, but the float is very nice looking.
Okay, the Women's Club of Westminster is coming up here now, Skip.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Women's Club of Westminster, which has been very distinguished through the years in its charitable activities. Dr. Art Peck, his daughter, became the national president of the Women's Club of Westminster, giving it a great deal of distinction. We love to see him. My late wife happened to be a member of that club.
Their leader is Clara Bennett.
Good. I think I just saw Mrs. Jackie Herring go by in a convertible, longtime member of the Women's Club.
Norma Jean Swan.
Yep, she lives on the same street I used to live on.
Not
Miss
sure.
Sally Marks, also a longtime member of the Westminster Women's Club.
Here comes the Westminster Baseball Association.
Yes, wonderful. Baseball is still a great sport. A nice thing for boys and girls to participate in. They have all kind of leagues for all ages, and Carroll County has a wonderful tradition of baseball. Here come some Jeeps, some restored, some decorated for the area. Beautiful, beautifully done.
Got some nice looking Jeeps out there.
They sure are. They can take a lot of pride in those activities in their vehicles.
That's the Carroll County Jeep Club.
They're able to ride with their sides down today, as beautiful as it is.
Got a lot of Jeeps in here today.
They sure do. You got racks on the top for skis and all kinds of different things. Well decorated with flags.
Says they have 10 vehicles here on the program.
Wow. A lot of noise from some of them. Look at that one with all the ribbon. Wow, wow, wow. This one coming up looks almost like a dune buggy. I'm sure it's not, but looks like a Jeep that has been stripped down somehow.
You got two of them there, Skip.
Well, he let us know he was here. Beautiful red, white, and blue car. Oh, isn't that gorgeous, that car? That's wonderful. There's a Jeep convertible. There's a van riding on a trailer, some flags, making mobility affordable. That's no, that's actually an ambulance.
Looks like we're getting near the end here, Skip.
Yeah, here come the fire engines, which always signify the end. Remember, the carnival season for firemen has just started. Gambler's going on. I think it's followed by Union Bridge. Support the carnivals throughout Carroll County for the firemen. It's a great source of revenue. They need it to buy these beautiful vehicles, and God forbid sometime you may need them to show up at your home, and they'll be ready. So if you want the service that we have, which is outstanding, support the carnivals, and if you would like, join the fire companies.
That's their Tower 3 up front, their Engine 31. And this Engine 32 is their new vehicle they just purchased. I don't think it's in service yet, but I could be wrong. No, I don't see no hose on it, so I don't think it's in service. But that is their new vehicle they just purchased. There comes our ambulance behind it, and Westminster had 3 ambulances, and they're all paid personnel for their ambulances.
My buddy here today on the parade, Rick, is a member of the Westminster Volunteer Fire Department, and we congratulate him for his service and thank him for his service.
Okay, looks like the police are coming to end up the parade, Skip.
Yep.
And on my behalf, I'd like to thank everyone for coming out. Bless you. Remember our veterans, and don't forget to go up to the cemetery for the service.
Yes, if
Thank
you
you.
get a chance, go to the cemetery for a very moving service along with the Gettysburg Address. If you have a chance, don't ever miss it. And again, thank you, Rick. It's been wonderful working with you. I think this is our 2nd or 3rd year together, and it's just been a pleasure. We thank Carroll Community Media Center for their activities in televising this event, and now we throw it over to the cemetery.
Thank you, Skip, and thanks for working with me also.
I'll be there when you get around.
And again, good morning, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, boys, girls, our wonderful veterans of what this day is all about. On this, our 152nd Memorial Day observance. The parade now in the final wrap-up, making its delightful trip down through Main Street this morning with all the great exhibitions and all the great exhibitors now making their way here to the Sermon at the Mount. My name is Bruce Main, and I am honored, I'm pleased and privileged to be again the Master of Ceremonies for this beautiful event. It's all about honor. It's about remembrance. And it is about decorum to celebrate the lives of those magnificent men and women over the centuries who have dedicated their lives, sacrificed their lives so we could enjoy the very liberties and freedoms we're enjoying to this very day. It is about remembrance and also keeping in our hearts and minds those who are still with us who have served. We salute you and we thank you. And those who are serving to this very day in far reaches of our globe, so that we can indeed enjoy what we have here in the United States of America, the greatest nation this planet has ever known. You know, there is political divisiveness everywhere. It's not a perfect nation. It is not a perfect system. But we have the right of dissent. We have the right, the liberty to voice our disappointments, our differences of opinions, and work them out in one way, shape, or form. So many nations across the world, you try to do that, you will never be heard from again. And odds are, neither will your families. That's how other nations do it. That's not how we do it here in the United States. And especially, we can go back in time to the very beginning where Minutemen gave their lives so that we have these liberties. We have the Constitution that we live by. And in a due course, it does work. And other nations would be done well to follow our example. Whether they do or whether they don't, that's up to them. But this is our United States of America. And I am proud to be here as part of the decorum and the honor that we do honor those and thank those who did make that ultimate sacrifice in numerous wars in our U.S. history, that we were able to fight back enemies who wanted to squash and squelch our way of living. They never succeeded, and God willing, never will. The weather gods have smiled on us here this morning. A beautiful day for this wonderful remembrance. And let's get started now. First up, let's welcome from St. John's Catholic Church with our invocation, Father Mark S. Bilek.
And may we take this moment to ask God's blessing upon our memorial today. God of power and mercy, we pray that you destroy war and put down earthly pride. Banish violence from our midst and wipe away our tears, that we may all deserve to be called your sons and daughters. Keep in your mercy those men and women who have died in the cause of freedom, and bring them safely into your kingdom of justice and peace. We ask this in your holy name. Amen.
Thank you, Father Bilek. And we continue on here this morning now with the singing of America. Everybody please join in. She will be accompanied by the Westminster Municipal Band, again with a magnificent display here this morning with us. And let's welcome Ms. Abby Atrudovec.
My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride, from every mountain side, let freedom ring.
Very well done, Abby. Abby Atrotovec. I want to thank some people here along the way this morning, as I always do when I'm here to do this magnificent event. I want to thank Paul Emmert, General Chairman, Lieutenant Colonel Roland Hollingsworth, the Parade Marshal, Adrian Gamboa, American Legion Post 31, Legion Commander, and our good friends from CMC, who are putting that out there and putting this entire beautiful event out there for viewers here this morning. Thank you all so very much for a job well done. Of all the wars that were fought, one actually did divide us, the Civil War. And again, good overcame the bad. And it took one man, one visionary, to bring it all together. And he had the foresight to put out one of the best speeches of all time. It happened in Gettysburg, not far from here. His name, Abraham Lincoln, who then reunified a divided nation. His Gettysburg Address, we know parts of it. We learned parts of it, maybe not all of it. But now we welcome aboard Phil Luster, the chaplain of American Legion Post 31, with Lincoln's Gettysburg Address. Chaplain Phil.
Thank you, young man. Good job. The Gettysburg Address was delivered by President Abraham Lincoln at the dedication of the Soldiers' National Cemetery at the scene of the Battle of Gettysburg of the American Civil War on November 19, 1863. And it begins. 77 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation or any nation so conceived and dedicated can long endure. We are met on the great battlefield of that war. We have to come to dedicate a portion of that field as a final resting place for those who here gave their lives that that nation might live. It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do this. But in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground. The brave men and living and dead who struggled here have consecrated far above our poor power to add or detract. The world will little note nor long remember what we say here, but it can never forget what they did here. It is for us, the living, rather to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they who fought here have thus far so nobly advanced. It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion, and that we were highly resolved that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, and that the government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from this earth. And I also have a poem that I wrote at the fall of Saigon. Being a Vietnam veteran, I was extremely touched at the fall of Saigon, and I wrote this poem in 1975. And it begins. It's called The Legionnaires. The virgin laughter of youth embalms the skies. As budding pilgrims of trust you migrate. Brazen out of fear, confident with uncertainty, you confronted death and lost. Now your hopes and dreams lay silent as churchyards flourish with sprouting trophies. Who but God and family care to remember your bouquets of flesh? For your country now has amnesia. I will remember my legionnaires. What's that? What did you say? Yes, it's too late to claim proxy. Thank you.
Thank you, Chaplain Phil Luster. As you can see behind me, the beautiful wreaths placed here. Wreaths have been coming in throughout the morning, all symbolic of what this day, this 152nd observance, the Sermon on the Mount is all about. As we get ready to enjoy our barbecues, our cookouts, our swimming pools, our big day sails, sail here, sail there, sail everywhere, always keep in mind what this day really means, and that is memorial, remembrance of those brave men and women through the centuries that have kept our American freedoms intact to this very day. I want to also take a moment to mention, let us not forget those who are unaccounted for, are missing in action. I think so many people, too many, have forgotten one fact. There are still families out there with missing loved ones, those missing in action, who I'd love nothing more than to see total closure come for those families. Yes. Let us not forget the MIAs, as we also will never forget those who gave their lives for this day, for us. And let's make every day a Memorial Day. Why do we have to celebrate Memorial Day on one day? Why not celebrate Memorial Day all the time as we enjoy what we have right here in this great nation? Now, I was talking about the wreaths. At this time, I want to welcome Councilman Greg Pecoraro and also Westminster Chief of Police Thomas Ledwell, as they will now place the City of Westminster's wreaths here in front of me. Obviously. Well, I speak on behalf of Chief of Police Thomas Ledwell, I am sure, as well as our Mayor, Joe Dominic, of this beautiful event, this beautiful wreath placed here by Councilman Greg Pecoraro. Thank you, Councilman. Now, the keynote of this beautiful event. Every year we have a featured speaker with a wonderful military background and a wonderful background that continues to serve to this very day. Richard J. Santos, known as Rick Santos, born, raised, schooled, and entered military service in New Bedford, Massachusetts. He did his basic training at the Naval Training Center at Great Lakes, Illinois. Duty stations including Bainbridge Naval Training Center, the USS Enterprise, CVN 65. He was honorably discharged from the United States Naval Reserve in April of 1967 as a radioman, second-class petty officer. Joined the American Legion in 1967 through affiliation in Greenbelt Post 136 down in Greenbelt. He is an honorary life and 52-year member of the American Legion. He has served at all levels of leadership and administration of the American Legion at post, county, district, department levels, achieving Department of Maryland Commander in 1990 and 1991. Rick Santos served the National Organization of the American Legion as a member of the National Executive Committee for 4 years, National Commander's Representative to the National Veterans Affairs and Rehabilitation Commission for 12 terms, and Chairman of the National Public Relations Commission. He was elected National Commander of the American Legion at the 83rd National Convention on August 30th of 2001 for the 2001-2002 Legion year. Unfortunately, on his watch, the horrible tragedy that happened on 9/11, bringing forth many challenges and reformation of the American Legion and its mission and programs. Rick has served the American Legion that well and continues to serve the American Legion, Department of Delaware, as Department Adjutant, a position he has now held for 12 years. Rick's working career was as a staff property claim representative with Cigna and as an independent insurance adjuster, totaling more than 31 years. Quite a well-rounded career, both militarily and serving us too. Also employed for 4 years as a legislative aide for the Maryland Prince George's County Council. He served as vice chairman of the Maryland Veterans Commission and as a member of the Maryland Military Monuments Commission. He was a member of the Veterans Advisory Council for the Honorable Steny Hoyer, now in the U.S. House of Representatives. And his personal life, well-rounded too. Married for 50 years to the former Linda Lee Perry of Beltsville. Before relocating to Selbyville, Delaware, they resided for 37 years and raised a family in Greenbelt. They have 3 adult children, and they are Betsy, Lee, and Stephen, and 5 grandchildren. It is my honor and my pleasure to introduce our feature speaker, our keynote speaker, Mr. Richard Rick Santos, past National Commander of the American Legion.
Thank you very much. Good morning, all. To my fellow veterans, their families, and all that gather today on this solemn day. In 1914, British writer H.G. Wells wrote in an article titled, "The War That Will End War." From the writing, a commonly cited phrase, "the war to end all wars," or a similar variant, was quickly adopted by the British and America for their purpose in World War I. Now, 105 years later, and due to the passions, egos, mistrust, greed of mankind, we know the article by Wells never had a chance. Albert Einstein, he had quite a few sayings in his life, and he kind of echoed that sentiment. So long as there are men, there will be wars. The multiplicity of sites that have claimed Memorial Day birthplace status for themselves are not all in the North. Many contenders are in southern cities that were part of the Confederacy during the war. The United States Park Service and numerous scholars attribute the beginning of Memorial Day in the South to ladies of Columbus, Mississippi. On April 25, 1866, women in Columbus laid flowers on the graves of both the Union and Confederate dead in the city's Friendship Cemetery, claiming to be the first Decoration Day. On May 5, 1868, General John Logan issued a proclamation for Decoration Day to be observed annually and nationwide. He was the Commander-in-Chief of the Grand Army of the Republic, an organization of and for Union Civil War veterans founded in Decatur, Illinois. With his proclamation, Logan adopted a Declaration Day practice that had begun in the southern states 2 years earlier. Now, 151 years later, on Memorial Day, we commemorate the soldiers who sacrificed their lives in battles to win and preserve our freedom. Many of them were young men and women who did not live long enough to fully experience the privileges that they fought to uphold. On Memorial Day 219, we pay homage to their dedication to duty, service, patriotism, courage, bravery, and devotion to country. The freedoms that we Americans have were founded on principles such as liberty, opportunity, and justice for all. True to the words of Thomas Paine, thousands of American military men and women have undergone the fatigue of supporting freedom. The rows on rows of white crosses in locales throughout the United States and overseas, and those that rest at peace under the 7 seas, and for those who remain unaccounted, those crosses are testimonials to their service, sacrifice, and bravery. A hero is someone who has given his or her life to something bigger than his or herself. These heroes are dead. They died for liberty. They died for us. They are at rest. They sleep in a land such as Westminster Cemetery, that they made free under the banner of the red, white, and blue. They lie beneath the shadows of clouds, not concerned alike of storm or sun, each in their windowless place of eternal rest. The most persistent sound which reverberates through mankind's history is the beating of war drums. So it may be ironic that they are in peace, but the world remains at war. In battle, in conflict, they found serenity in death. It has been said that we have one sentiment for soldiers, living and dead. Cheers for the living, tears for the dead. The number of American war dead is staggering. Since the American Revolutionary War, it is said more than 43 million Americans and women, men and women, served in our military. There have been approximately 900,000 deaths in theater or out of theater. For those nearly 1 million, upon death, upon immortality, the war was over. And for them, it's most apropos to use an old quote that only the dead have seen the end of war. We mourn, we are solemn, we are quiet. We fly the flag at half-mast. But Benjamin Harrison, our 23rd president, had a different view of then Decoration Day. He was never able to think of the day as one of mourning. He was never able to quite to feel the half-masted flags were appropriate on Memorial Day. He felt that the flag should be at its peak because those whose dying we commemorate rejoiced in seeing it where their valor placed it. We believe that we should honor them in a joyous, thankful, and triumphant commemoration on what they did. Heroes that we honor today represent the character of our nation, a nation with a long history of patriotism and honor, and a nation who has fought many battles to keep our country and many parts of the free world free. Regardless of battle or when or where, those that made the supreme sacrifice on the battlefield and those who subsequently joined their comrades, they now feel no pain as their battle is done and now march to a silent beat. America is blessed to have warriors, veterans who gave their best to uphold our republic. Thomas Paine, sometimes called the voice of the common man, is credited with a quote that seems to best describe what it takes to preserve our freedom, and I quote, "Those who expect to reap the blessings of freedom must, like men, undergo the fatigue of supporting it," unquote. Most quotes and speeches are attributed to notable and famous people. However, I did find one as attributed to an unknown defender of Khe Sanh in Vietnam War, and I quote, "For those who fight for it, life has a special flavor that the protected will never know." Let's hope that Americans' appreciation of life is spiced in flavor and special flavor, spiced in a flavor that will impact their lives in a way that they will carry on with courage, compassion, dedication, true responsibilities to their country. Conflict and war have inspired writers, poets, and playwrights since mankind began telling stories. Their stories are written to honor those who have died or borne the senseless destruction which conflict causes. There are many about war and remembrance that are classics. Masterpieces by Alfred Lord Tennyson, Herman Melville, Walt Whitman, Rudyard Kipling, and Stephen Crane were written on historical events. As noted, during my term as National Commander, there was plenty of time to sit on an airplane because you visit all 50 states and 13 countries in 365 days. I always, and still do, take a window seat. I like sitting there and when you're flying, just look out over the land, America, and dream a little bit. Now, my face is on the window like a 8-year-old kid in a candy store. right up on the glass, right in front of that candy. You ever wonder why someone else seems to always say to have the right words that you can never bring forth or bring forth from yourself? We always use other people's words as a rule. On a flight, I wrote a poem about Memorial Day, hoping that I could express my own words, use my own words about today's special event. I ask you to maybe have a slight attitude of remembrance and think of yourselves in this cemetery, hearing the birds chirp, bells toll, and permit yourself to hear the following verse, which I think echoes Memorial Day in my own words. And it goes like this. In Maryland, green fields aflow, in quiet places with sun aglow, final quarters of honored dead, we mourn their loss, by tears we shed. In a cemetery on the knoll, where birds do chirp, where bells do toll, above green grass, the winds do blow. As we salute, play taps and go. No drum rolls here, no bugles blare. The flags do fly, the eagle stares. Above this quiet plot of land, Old Glory flies, with peace at hand. How many rest in this grassy bay? Oh, too many, way too many we say. Who is to guard this sacred site? Hark, you and me, with all our might. We are their guards, sentinels too, entrusted with a sacred due. Take the spirit with full dispatch, sustain bravery to their match. Giving the nation all their best, now lie quietly all at rest. Making no sound, but hear and feel, paying them homage as we kneel. For our heroes, do not forget the courage shown, the course they set. Taking the torch they carried high, we'll move forward without a sigh. Do not ignore the muffling sound of their footsteps towards high ground. Do not forget their deeds, my son. God, let them sleep. Their day is done. As we conclude this observance and continue celebration of Memorial Day, and even travel home, take one glance towards the cemeteries, those quiet places upon the knoll where the birds do chirp and the bells do toll, where our heroes remain ever vigilant. And the scene in your mind is best illustrated by the words of Thomas Jefferson. Eternal vigilance is the price of liberty. On this Memorial Day, let's pledge ourselves anew to patriotic service. Let us make ourselves the friend and brother, son and father, and of those who have seen their own again, will not see their own again in flesh. Fearlessly let our hands grasp the flag so nobly borne before, and let those others plant it always on the battlements of righteousness. If we adhere to those principles, and to one exhorted by Calvin Coolidge, and I quote, the nation which forgets its defenders will be itself be forgotten. It may be, just maybe, that the 1914 H.G. Wells commonly cited phrase, the war to end all wars, shall become a reality. And then, and only then, not only the dead will see the end of war. And for those who have gone before us, they did not die in vain. Thank you for allowing me to share Memorial Day thoughts with you. It's been a pleasure. God bless you all, and God bless the United States. Thank you very much.
Rick Santos, ladies and gentlemen, very well done, very well put. At this time, let's have our benediction. The benediction, Richard Chappie Bauer. Chappie, a chaplain, state of Maryland, MFCA, and past national champion, or chaplain, and a champion, yes, I might say too. past chaplain of 40 and 8, Richard Chappie Bauer.
Please join me in prayer. Father in heaven, this is no time to glory in war, but rather to remember and give thanks for those who have distinguished freedom and cherished it more than life. As we recall with thanksgiving all of those in the Army, Navy, Marines, Coast Guard, and Air Force who have lost their lives in the defense of America, let us rededicate our lives to the ideals for which they paid the supreme price. For their legacy is now our birthright and our responsibility. Help us so to live the mission placed in our hands that generations yet unborn will continue to enjoy the freedoms we hold dear. Grant us skill, dedication, and courage for the daily tasks of maintaining the bright torch of liberty. And by your grace and your power alone, let us mount up as wings of eagles. Let us run and not grow weary. Let us walk and not faint. That our land may exist in peace, security, freedom, liberty, and all to your holy, most holy name we pray. Amen.
And now, as she did so well with the singing of America, now, everybody, please join in as we welcome back Abby Atradovic with the singing of our national anthem. Lieutenant Colonel Hollingsworth.
All uniformed personnel and all military units, bring your units to attention and present arms.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Whoa, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
All uniformed personnel and all uniformed units, bring your units to order alarm and stand at ease.
And now I direct your attention to the firing detail. I direct your attention over to my right as we welcome the VFW Honor Guard, the firing detail, the Moleville Farm Post 467. Ladies and gentlemen, the Taps and Echo by Greg Wance and David Miller of the Westminster Municipal Band. Job well done. And this concludes our 152nd Memorial Day observance. I'm Bruce Main. I want to thank each and every one of you for being out here today. I want to thank the Westminster Municipal Band, all the great organizations, the great presentation, and especially I want to thank again the committee of the American Legion Post 31 here in Westminster, Paul Emmert Sr., General Chairman, and again, Lieutenant Colonel Ronald Hollingsworth, Adrian Gamboa, the American Legion Commander, our also represented friends from the Moleville Farm Post 467 of the Veterans of Foreign Wars, and our friends at CMC who have done a great job getting this out there for the viewers. Job well done by our good friends at CMC. And until we meet again, have a happy, a safe, and a remembrance of this Memorial Day weekend and the Memorial Day Monday as we celebrate our life and our lives here in the greatest nation on earth, the United States of America. Thank you all again very much.
It is very, very important that the country supports the veterans that they have.
With all of the inducements to get you to talk, sleep deprival, they would put you, normally you could tell when you were going to be interrogated because they would stick you in a black box for a couple of hours and you lost all circulation in your legs and everything. They would do that. I guess they figured it would soften you up. So.
Now, when you enlisted, were you a citizen of the United States?
No,
no.
I was not. I felt that I didn't need to be one.
I have a boot, just one boot. Mm-hmm. And a fellow was due to go home, and that evening he took a direct hit from a 122 millimeter rocket. And that was the only part of him we found.
When we talk about reunions, and I say, yeah, we do a class reunion every 5 years. But for some of my classmates, for me to see my classmates, I have to go to Washington and look at the wall.
quite often you'd leave at 4 o'clock in the morning on a train to go into Munich. And then you might start back at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. But many times you wouldn't get back for quite a while because on the way back, the Allies would come along and strafe the plane. So they'd pull the train off on a siding. All the guards would hightail it across the field, get away from the train. And of course we were locked up in the boxcars, and we'd sit there till the strafing was over, and then we'd come back to camp.
The second I got off the plane, there were sirens going off. We didn't know why. We heard loud noises. We didn't know what they were. Everybody instantly thought that they were bombs and everything, but it ended up being that we had to wait on the tarmac because they were carrying a fallen soldier onto the C-130 that was ahead of us. So it was very humbling the very second we got there.
You know, in that experience, you find out real quick what you're made of and how are you going to react when you come under fire.
I reached in the bag and I pulled out a hand grenade. I looked at it, and all of a sudden when I pulled it out, I heard pop. When I heard pop, I knew that I'd pulled a pin on a hand grenade in that sandbag.
War is hell. War is hell. I wouldn't want to see anything like what I saw in Nam here in our country. I know there's a lot of terrible things happening in our country, but I don't know why we all just can't live in peace and get along.
To honor our local veterans, the Community Media Center is holding a Veterans Oral History Collection Day on Saturday, June 8th, from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. If you're a veteran and would like to share your story of service, schedule your interview today by calling 410-386-4415 or by visiting carrollmediacenter.org.